In the tranquil village of Gurgaon, now known as Gurugram, a burgeoning center for business and accommodation emerged, anchored by the prominent depot. Facility: Saffron Global Corporation. Many employees from various parts of the country found employment there, even though the area was considered spooky and unfamiliar, with vast barren lands stretching into the horizon and only a handful of houses scattered around. Living near their workplace became a tradition for these employees, a tradition that continues to this day. Among these dedicated workers was a young woman named Rose. In 2005, she was around 26 or 27 years old, and her reputation as a star employee at the pub was well-deserved. Rose's role involved handling calls, addressing customer problems, and providing effective solutions. Her unwavering dedication and exceptional talent did not go unnoticed, and she had been named Employee of the Month several times. Her story was intertwined with the meteoric rise of Gurgaon, a place where people like her lived and worked, contributing to the city's growth. One ordinary afternoon in 2005, Rose was at her desk, going about her duties, picking up calls just like any other day. Typically, calls in the center were swift, lasting only a few minutes with customers discussing their issues and moving on. However, this day was different. Rose found herself in an unusually long conversation that extended for hours. Her team leader, who observed her team closely, began to sense that something was amiss. As the conversation continued, Rose's demeanor shifted. She became visibly upset and anxious, abruptly leaving the office, leaving her colleagues puzzled and concerned. The team leader felt the gravity of the situation and decided to investigate. Rose's colleagues meticulously checked the call details to find an unexpected revelation. To their astonishment, they discovered that Rose had been engaged in a one-sided conversation for an entire hour. This discovery left everyone in the office wondering if Rose had been talking to herself all that time. Still, no one dared to mention it, fearing that it might be seen as a cruel joke or a misjudgment. The next day, Rose failed to show up at the office, which was highly unusual for an employee of her caliber. Her team leader's worry deepened as days turned into weeks, and Rose remained conspicuously absent. Her phone was switched off, and there was no response to emails or texts. Rose's unexplained absence left everyone in the office deeply perplexed. Determined to uncover the truth behind Rose's mysterious disappearance, her friends and some of her colleagues decided to visit the address registered with the company as her residence. To their utter shock and disbelief, the homeowner at that address claimed that no one named Rose had ever lived there. This revelation sent shivers down their spines because they had been picking her up and dropping her off at that very house for the past 6 months. A further investigation into Rose's background revealed her permanent address at her parents' home. When they visited her parents, they received a heart-stopping revelation. Rose's father informed them that Rose had tragically passed away 4 years ago in a devastating road accident. The news was too surreal to accept. They had been interacting with someone who had been dead for years. This revelation sent shockwaves through the entire company, leaving its employees living in the shadow of fear. But the series of bizarre and paranormal events didn't stop there. Another office worker decided to visit Rose's home, only to be told by her parents that their child had tragically passed away 8 years ago, not 4, as previously stated. The employee was left in a state of disbelief, having seen Rose's office belongings and interacted with her daily. Rose's close friend, who had been particularly close to her, even suffered a sudden heart attack. Others who had frequently interacted with Rose experienced a sharp decline in their mental health. Fear and uncertainty gripped the office and the company. Fearing closure and a frightened workforce tried to suppress the unsettling story. However, the truth has a peculiar way of resurfacing, and this story was no exception. It's said that the Depot office had been constructed on a site that was once a graveyard, a resting place for over a century, hinting at its eerie past. In the basement parking area, strange events began to occur. The security guard on duty reported that his leg had been pulled from a chair, not just once, but 3 times, with the 3rd time causing him to be thrown to the ground. People were quick to dismiss his account as mere imagination, intoxication, or a dream, but he insisted it was real. The office building's elevator in the basement also exhibited unusual behavior, opening and closing without anyone pressing the button. There were even reports of a woman's scream emanating from the restroom. An employee heard it, and so did a colleague, and it sent shivers down their spines. The story of Rose, the call center employee who continued to work and interact with her colleagues even after her death, remained a baffling mystery. It sent shockwaves through the community, leaving people in panic, and the local police were at a loss. They had no official report or case to file, and as a result, the story of Rose remained shrouded in enigma, haunting the memories of those who had witnessed these inexplicable events.